Thank you all. I have a question that I think is on the table, given that a couple of the panelists mentioned the fall, and I'm interested in this conversation between faith and economics. I think it was Michael that mentioned that maybe economists would benefit from reading the Bible because they might learn what humans want. I'm kind of curious, though, if you could, the panelists would dive a bit deeper into that question, because I think you run up pretty quickly into the idea that maybe what humans want is not always what they should want. And so I think the subject of desire gets complicated pretty quickly, and I'm curious how that conversation might look once we get that piece on the table.
So,
Mike, you want to start? Yeah.
no, not really, because I haven't, because I'm, as usual, I'm a hypocrite. I say people should read the Bible, but I don't know the Bible very well. I had to look up that quote from Matthew, I know it's kind of what it says and kind of where it was. But I think you are absolutely right that people don't always know what they want, and what they want isn't always good for them. And this is, I think, in my mind, this is kind of circling back on this idea of civil society. And I'm not quite sure whether churches should or shouldn't be called civil society. I may have missed your subtlety there. But the things, families and churches and, the Knights of Columbus and bowling leagues and all those kinds of things, in part, their function is to control unbridled human desire. I tell my kids what they want, and they better want it. So.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, go ahead. You're the theologian, Steve.
No, you go first.
I'm the Anglican.
John Wesley was an Anglican. So
Oh, there you go.
right
A lot of the greats were, but I'm just saying. Again, a good question. I think the Bible clearly shows the corruption of people, and there's no perfect system, but to me that's why I'm wary of people having more control, and why, in just the most broad sense, why I find capitalism a more appealing system than socialism, because even the people who are in positions of power might not always have the best interests. And so to me, capitalism sets the stage for as many people as possible to have as much freedom as possible to create and engage and what have you, without those types of potentially more malevolent forces. But then, of course, this is why we have regulation. It's why there should be social programs to help fill in the gaps. I mean, it's not just a laissez-faire type system. But the corruption of people is why I'm particularly wary of big government, and why I support a more, say, relaxed form of state control.